To mark the 200th anniversary of the founding of the town of Greece, the Greece Historical Society presents a Bicentennial Snapshot. Each week, we take a look at a particular aspect of Greece history. Today, we start our canvass of the settlements in the town of Greece. During the early years of its history, the town of Greece was comprised of small hamlets with unique names. Even today, there are a number of neighborhoods that are identified with a distinct name. We will begin with Ada, which was comprised of the area around the crossroads of Ridge, Long Pond, and Mitchell Roads. Since it was centered around the main thoroughfare of Ridge Road, we have touched on some of its history in previous snapshots. Note on the map the Y-shaped conjunction of Long Pond Road, then known as Greece Center Road, on the left, and the road that borders the property of farmer Erastus Walker on the right. When a portion of the ridge from Long Pond Road to Elm Grove Road, then called Henpeck Road, was planked in the 1860s, people had to pay a toll to travel along it. Locals didn't think it was necessary to pay to use the road. Erastus Walker used to cut across his fields to bypass the toll gate. After being used by so many so often, it became a right-of-way. Just south of the Walker property was land owned by the Mitchells. Eventually, the Mitchells would own the Walker land, and the name of the road was changed to Mitchell Road. The earliest establishment was the Roe Tavern, circa 1804, which served as a hub for a number of important functions: a public meeting place in which to conduct official town business, a post office, a bank, a dry goods store and trading post, a lending library, and a place of worship until churches could be built. It wasn't long before it was joined by other establishments. The first Roe Tavern building burned down in 1845 when it was owned by R.P. Egerton. The tavern shown in this photo was constructed for new owner George Wimble and has quite a history, which we will explain shortly. First, let's look at one of the oldest institutions not only in Ada, but in the entire town of Greece. Founded in 1814, the Greece Baptist Church was the first congregation established in the town of Greece. The church in the photo was its home from 1832 until a new church was erected in 1962, about 700 feet from the old church. Future episodes of Snapshots will be devoted to the different churches of Greece. St. John the Evangelist Roman Catholic Church was founded as a satellite parish of Our Mother of Sorrows Church. The original 20 congregants met in the Roe Tavern building from 1865 until 1876, when they were able to construct a church on the site. The tavern building became the priest's rectory. Let's look again at the 1872 map. One can see that this crossroads area is primarily farmland, along with the two churches and a few businesses, including the Falls Hotel. Located on the south side of Ridge Road, the Falls Hotel was a stagecoach stop. It was first owned by William Fall. In subsequent years, it was operated by T.B. Hyatt and was the post office as well, and William Gentle was the proprietor in 1883 when the hotel was completely destroyed by fire. In a fortunate coincidence, the priests of St. John the Evangelist were looking to build a more appropriate residence, and since the foundation footprint of the old Roe Tavern and the Falls Hotel were almost the same, the old tavern building was moved across the street and renovated so the Falls Hotel could again commence business. This 1887 map shows that not much has changed, but there are notable additions to the business concerns of the area: William H. Anderson's General Store and Fetzner's Blacksmith and Carriage Shops. General stores like Anderson's were the Walmarts of their days. They maintained a wide-ranging inventory of groceries and household necessities needed by the farm families living around them. In 1876, two brothers, Frank and John Fetzner, opened the Fetzner Brothers Blacksmith and Carriage Shops on West Ridge Road, across the street from St. John the Evangelist Church and next door to the Falls Hotel. Peter Nipper, who was married to the Fetzner's cousin, Mary Mura, bought the Falls Hotel in 1889. You can read more about the Fetzners, Muras, and Nippers in the Society's publication, Pioneer Families of the Town of Greece by Marie Poynan and Joanne Ward Snyder. The name Ada is on this 1902 map of Greece. For decades, the Falls Hotel had been the local post office, but around 1900, Anderson's General Store became the federally designated post office and needed a name. Anderson, formerly a resident of Ada, Michigan, who was postmaster at the time, called it Ada. From this 1934 map, we can see that north of the ridge, former farmlands have been developed for housing. South of the ridge is still being farmed by the Mitchell family. Adjacent to them was the farm of Frank Clem. Frank Buckard was the proprietor of the Falls Hotel, also known as Bucket's Hotel. During Prohibition, it was frequently raided for violating the Volstead Act, which prohibited the sale of alcohol under the 18th Amendment. Notice the name on the top left corner of the map, Homer J. Buckman. In 1911, he started his dairy with 6 cows. There'll be more about Mr. Buckman in a future episode. In 1937, when he was 17 years old, Frank Clem hit on an idea for a promising business. He decided to raise turkeys on his father's farm. 3 years later, his initial stock of 12 White Holland turkeys had increased to 100. Over the next 30 years, many a Grease family got their Thanksgiving bird from Clem's turkey farm. This aerial view of Ada from the 1940s shows the still basically rural nature of the area, but that was soon going to change. Greece's population was growing by leaps and bounds, and many businesses were open to cater to its needs. The Fetzner family successfully made the transition to repairing automobiles in the early 20th century. Still next door to them was the Old Falls Hotel, now the restaurant Richard's on the Ridge. The Fetzners relocated to Dewey Avenue at Barnard Crossing with development of the malls on Ridge Road. The late 1960s and early 70s were the era of suburban mall developments. After housing the restaurant Richard's on the Ridge in the 1960s, the old Roe Tavern building was demolished in 1967 to make way for McCurdy's department store, the planned anchor store of Greasetown Mall. Clem's Turkey Farm and the Mitchell Farm became the site of Long Ridge Mall in 1971. Here is an aerial view of Ada from the 1970s. Here is an aerial view of Ada today. Ada has seen many changes over 200 years. All that remains here from the earliest days of the town's history are the 2 churches. There has been one constant, however. The hub of Greece's commercial thoroughfare is still the crossroads at Ridge, Long Pond, and Mitchell Roads. Thanks for joining us this week. Next week, we'll talk about South Greece, also known as Henpeck. This is Maureen Whalen, inviting you to join us next Tuesday for another Bicentennial Snapshot presented by the Greece Historical Society.
Want to learn more from the Greece Historical Society and Museum? Then click that subscribe button for more content and hit that bell icon to get notified when there's more Bicentennial Snapshots. You can visit us on the web at greecehistoricalsociety.org. You can find us on Facebook at Greece Historical Society. You can follow us on Twitter at GreeceNYHistory. And you can stop in at the Greece Historical Society at 595 Long Pond Road.